Hello everyone, Brandon and Steve coming to you once again over your local Vox network.
Welcome.
Yes indeed. Today we're going to talk about, well, Warhammer again. We seem to do that a lot. It's becoming a running thing.
So we figured the best way to just kind of, hopefully, maybe, probably not get it out of our system was to just have an episode discussing it. That way, we'll be less inclined to diverge onto the topic in future.
Right, because the goal for today is to talk about everything of note regarding the state of Warhammer so that we won't be tempted to reference it again. It's not going to work.
No, not at all. It's going to fail, but by God, we're going to have fun doing it.
We're going to have fun doing it. I've got some, Astartes grade liquor right here. Oh, that's... The moose is loose, baby!
Oh God, that shit again? Which is hilarious considering you're, straight up Thousand Suns and you're probably drinking some stuff from, Space Corps.
No, I think this shit here is Fenrisian.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think the Suns would be like wine. I think they would drink wine. Like not.
You mean the ones who aren't just specks of dust floating around in massive fuck off?
Oh no, they can have wine too.
Now I have this glorious mental image of just somebody pouring a wine goblet down a suit of heresy grade Astartes armor was just filled with.
I mean, that's how I imagine it.
I mean, we are basically the same person at this point.
Yeah. Stop pointing that out.
How long do you think it's going to be before they realize it's just one person who is very good at mimicking one voice?
Shh.
Or two.
Notice how you never hear us talk at the same time.
Right? Anyway, I'm Steven. I have a little bit less time in 40K than Brandon does, but that doesn't mean much because it's one of those settings that we've just kind of latched onto, very similar to SCP, and it's just I've been doing 40K stuff longer than SCP, so this is going to be a hoot.
Yeah, 40K is like TV tropes. It gets its fingers into everything, and then you can't go an entire 2-hour episode without referencing it. It's impossible.
Yeah, 40K is its own mimetic agent. It's also unreasonable. I'd say unreasonably. Unreasonably is an understatement. I'm trying to think of a word here that will prohibitively is. Prohibitively is not so not it. Yeah, it's so expensive that you can't sell your own organs because then you die. You have to sell other people's organs.
That is Yes, that is true.
I think, however, that anybody who's tuning into this who are not familiar with us and very not familiar with 40K might need some form of overview.
In the grim darkness of the far future, everything's fucked, and we play tabletop war games. We have an entire episode about this, don't we?
We have an entire episode about tabletop war games, but we, talked about other things, the name is drawing a blank right now. We talked about other war games and how war games work and things of that nature, but we touched on 40K there, but we didn't just focus solely on 40K.
Yeah, you're right. So I guess the best way to describe it would be just imagine your standard fantasy universe with elves and orcs and Lord of the Rings monsters and all that good stuff, only instead of being in a fantasy world with hobbits, It's in space, and all the hobbits are dead. And everything is absolutely terrible for everyone.
Not just the hobbits, also the dwarves.
We don't talk about that.
There's references made in some things that have come out recently. Not much, but they're more than just, non-existent.
Oh, and actually the hobbits are alive in 40K, I've just remembered.
Yes, they're called ratlings.
Yes. Sneaky little buggers that have very high dexterity. Yeah, that's hobbits, all right.
Aside from the fact that, hobbits don't carry around, high caliber military sniper rifles, but
they would if they existed.
Yeah. Anyway, to sum it up, as Brandon was saying, take your typical fantasy setting with your elves and your orcs and your demon armies and so on and so forth, and just make it infinitely darker.
And put it in space.
And put it in space!
And the reason you put it in space is so you can have space marines.
Oh yes, the Space Marines, which pretty much everybody who's ever been on the internet for any extended period of time has more than likely seen an image of a Warhammer 40K Space Marine. You can tell them apart from other Space Marines because they have pauldrons that are a full quarter the size of their body.
It should not be possible for them to lift their arms over their head. There is too much pauldron.
But yet, they need more pauldron.
But yet, they backflip.
Yet, they backflip while holding fuck-off huge hammers that are as big as they are and capable of just kind of bitch-slapping a tank.
Bitch-slapping tanks is something they commonly do, yes.
And not just with hammers. Sometimes a Space Marine will literally just run up and bitch-slap a tank because for the Emperor...
Yes, they bitch slap tanks because... Well, because if you could bitch slap a tank, would you ever do anything else? Like with your life? That's just all you would do?
Probably, yeah. So, we kind of touched on it, but then, so take the aforementioned, high age fantasy, making it darker, putting it in space, and then just make everything hyper lethal. There is nothing in this universe that is not capable of just destroying an entire planet.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, but then you get into the aspect of things like the good guys, quote unquote, the good guys, the Imperium of Man. They find it acceptable to go about the process of exterminatus.
That's true. They do destroy entire planets, mostly just for looking funny.
Yes, so just take Alderaan from A New Hope and just imagine an entire galaxy where that's happening at least 50 times per day.
Oh, it's not that common. And also, it's like way worse than that because... You gotta remember, the Death Star is just a super laser that just fired and the planet went pop.
We have
Exterminatus
variations.
Is not that nice.
Mainly because there are variations of it.
Right.
You have your cyclonic planet-cracking torpedoes. You have your virus bombs that just kind of kill every living thing on a planet.
You have your melta-bombs. You have your cyclonic torpedoes. You have your giant fuck-off lasers. You have your just releasing Ogryn onto the planet and calling it good. You have...
We refer to that practice as shotgun exterminatus, where you just release big angry bastards onto a planet and let them have fun.
Yep.
Of course, the alternative to this is, if you don't exterminatus a planet, occasionally you get things like suddenly orcs who are somehow funguses, and as you kill them, more orcs appear, and more orcs are grown from the spores that their body releases, and suddenly the planet is swarmed with orcs whose really only purpose in life is to fight and crump and kill.
Right. Or, if you're lucky enough to not be facing the orcs, you could be facing something like the Tyranids, who are just going to eat literally everything on the planet, right down to the dirt.
Correct. Tyranids are the just... Every meme you've ever seen that's just nom 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 nom. That's just the
all at once, simultaneously. Nom nom nom.
Or maybe it's a planet that's taken over by the ruinous powers, chaos.
In which case, you'd better blow it up now, because here in a couple minutes, you're not going to be able to anymore, because it's not going to be in this universe. It's going to be on the other side of that gateway from Event Horizon. Yep. So really, the Exterminatus is the kinder approach there.
I mean, they could, or, maybe if saving the planet, if you're giving up on the planet, you've given up on the population. Maybe you want to save the population before the BDSM-inspired space elves come up and just kidnap everyone for their orgy murder.
So that's not a thing that happens because, like, if you're aware that the Dark Eldar are about to, forget the safe word all over one of your planets, it has probably already happened, so you don't really have time to respond.
This is true. Or maybe it's just, suddenly the Terminator Egyptian zombie robots appear and just suddenly the population is just gone.
Or maybe a bunch of blue communists have turned the local governor to heresy and you just can't take it.
In which case, have fun because they have better guns than you.
Yeah, but, nuke it from orbit.
Nuke it from orbit, yes. And I'm saying this as a person who plays the Weeaboo Space Communists.
In fairness, the Weeaboo Space Communists probably are the good guys here.
I mean, except for the Ethereals. Fuck those guys.
Oh, dude, you know what happened to the Fourth Sphere expansion, right?
We should. I think you mentioned it, but refresh my memory and speak for the sake of the viewers.
Okay, so before I begin, let me preface this. G-Dubs, Games Workshop, who are
a British company.
A British company, and our gaming lords and saviors, while also being some of the most terrible, terrible people on the face of the planet. There we go.
Okay, so this is going to be uncommon for me, but imagine Donald Trump as a game company.
I'm confused.
Just horrible, horrible people?
Right, but they usually succeed, despite being horrible people.
Hey! Well, I mean...
Sorry, G-Dubs, if you ever listen to this, we apologize for calling you terrible people, but it's true.
I'm kind of sorry for comparing you to Donald Trump.
Yeah. Anyway, they have this long-running unwillingness, and it's not a bad unwillingness, don't get me wrong, but an unwillingness to advance the storyline. The setting of Warhammer 40k is the setting, and events happen within it, but the plot never moves forward, like the overplot. Abaddon is always preparing his 13th Black Crusade, but it's never happening. The Tower always slowly expanding, but never actually getting anywhere. The Tower always devouring planets, but never really coming closer to Terra.
Tyranids.
Tyranids, yes.
The orcs are always fighting, and really, if you look at it from a certain perspective, orcs are the protagonists of 40k. They're the only ones having any fun.
It's true. The universe is truly their oyster.
Their big murder-filled oyster. So anyway, not advancing the plot.
Right. They don't advance. They didn't advance the plot for many years. Actually several decades. They didn't advance the plot really.
I think it was through 5 editions.
Yeah, something like that. And then all at once, all of a sudden, they decided, well, that they were going to do that.
And when G-Dubs decides to advance a plot, G-Dubs advances the fucking plot. Case in point, we're going to change. We're going to advance from 40,000 years into the future to some sort of fantasy realm, where once upon a time there was a setting called just Warhammer Fantasy. It, too, dealt with stagnant story.
Until the end times.
And then the end times occurred, and when G-Dubs decided to kick off the end times, by God, they did it. I hesitate to say right, but
it definitely wasn't right.
And essentially,
but it was definitely fucking final. That's for sure.
Everyone's final scene was just, I believe the final scene was the mother of all Western style vampires in the setting, holding her sister, who is a undead Egyptian zombie lich person, as the universe comes crashing down on them. I believe is the final scene in that setting.
Yeah, the entire universe, all of it.
While the hordes and hordes of the undead are fighting the nothingness to protect the last remnants of humanity. Also, Archeon the Everchosen got kicked in the balls by an orc.
That is a thing that happened, yes. The point is, there's a lot of mixed feelings about the end times. Mixed feelings that were creating a general consensus among the fan base that G-Dubs should never, ever, ever, ever attempt to advance a storyline ever again.
I mean, to be fair, give them credit. They went from stagnant story to they advanced the storyline, all right.
They advanced it off a cliff and started a new setting.
Yep. They straight up essentially just went from Warhammer Fantasy, which was just imagine fantasy battles with fantasy creatures, massive battles, people marching in blocks of troops, and so on and so forth, to suddenly we have Sigmarines.
Hey, Sigmarines are cool.
They do look kind of badass, but they're just a blatant money grab.
Just like everything else G-Dubs does.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing how I can have so much hatred for a company I love so much. Anyway, so one of the things that happened while the timeline was advancing was the Tau's fourth sphere expansion, which means their fourth exploratory fleet and their fourth colonizing fleet.
The Tau are the aforementioned Space Weeaboo fish people, and they're probably the youngest race in the setting. Everything else has been around since before. Some things have been around since before the beginning of time, because welcome to the setting. And some things have been around, since this is 40,000 years into the future. So human history, and any span in between there. These guys have only been around for a couple thousand years.
Ish.
But still, they've expanded 3 times into a universe
filled
that
with
just
orcs.
wants to kill them.
Just filled to the brim with orcs.
And Tyranids, and angry motherfuckers, 8-foot tall angry motherfuckers with bolt cannon.
Again, orcs. But the point is, they were starting their fourth sphere expansion, and they sent a bunch of ships out into the universe using their experimental warp drives that don't have any protection from the warp.
Do you want to should we explain what the warp is?
I think I already did, because remember that thing I said a few minutes ago about the other side of the gate in Event Horizon? It's like that.
The walls are screaming at you in the voices of everyone you've ever known or loved, or will potentially know or love.
And also,
your grandfather.
And also, it's filled to the brim with sharks.
Sharks that are walking like people, and people that are swimming like sharks. And Grandpa's eyes are replaced by gibbering mouths spouting nothing but the secrets of the universe you never wished to know.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Like that, but worse. Yeah.
Like, if you've ever seen the cut content from Event Horizon, that's,
we're going to keep saying Event Horizon.
We are going to keep saying Event Horizon. I mean, also
We
for the
also
fact
said
that
the word. We also said the word shark 3 times, and Sticky Shark appeared.
iPad.
It's like Beetlejuice.
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 Oh God.
Beetlejuice is definitely no Candyman. So anyway, hell. The warp is quite literally hell, right down to it actually being the afterlife.
Yep.
But
It is,
the Tau being stupid? No, naive. Being incredibly naive.
They are a young race, and they are naive, and they just don't believe that such things as hell or these demonic creatures that are just tearing things apart. They don't believe that they exist or that they're just random angry.
Which brings a question, right? Like, how could they not realize these things exist when they have human civilians? Like, occasionally a Psyker's head explodes and demons pour out. What do the Tau think is happening when that happens?
The Imperium implanted a device in the person's head to prevent them from betraying them, and once they reached the point where, you know, they felt as though the person was worthless, they detonated the device to prevent him from becoming a... And any, you know, abject terror that's felt by their their Guevesa population, or their human servant population, is just, oh, superstition, these are just naturally occurring beasts and...
Yes, that humanoid axe-wielding creature that appears to be made of blood is naturally occurring, yes.
I mean, I will cite the previous example of robotic pharaoh space zombie with guns that tear you apart at the microscopic level and, you know, fungus orc.
Okay, but compared to 90% of demons, that is normal.
I mean, yes, true, but again, the Tau are naive.
Fair enough. Anyway.
Also, the Ethereals are dicks.
Anyway. The result was that the fourth sphere expansion, all of those ships, went straight into the aforementioned hellscape of the warp, completely unprotected. A warp that they didn't believe existed.
If you've been taking notes at home and paying attention, you know what's about to happen.
Well, what's about to happen is a lot of Tau went really, really nuts. And a lot of Tau died. But not all of them, which is impressive in its own right, actually.
I will say it again, Tau have best guns.
Right. And, well, now the Tau are well aware that the warp is a thing and is chock full of demons, and, well aware that they need to be doing something about it, and also well aware that their, masters, the Ethereals, had been lying about it all along.
Commander Farside was right. I'm sorry, Commander Farsight was right. I said Farsight. That's different.
Attack of the Farside?
Yeah, da-da-da.
But yeah. So, that's the story of the fourth sphere expansion, and that happened pretty recently.
You know what also happened fairly recently? Phalbadon got off his ass and accomplished something.
Phalbadon always accomplishes things. Look, as of last edition, he had always succeeded, okay?
Yes, because there's more Chaos players in the world than anyone.
I mean, no, there's more Imperium players than anyone else, really, when you include all 15 Imperial armies.
There are more better Chaos players than Imperial players.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I'm going to tell an old joke.
Okay.
When you see a 12-year-old at a gaming convention, he is there to play either Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, or Space Marines.
Fair.
Cruel, but fair.
You see neckbeards like us at a gaming convention, we're mainly there for the memes.
I shave my neck, sir.
And aside from that, I mean, can you think of a better term to describe us?
I take exception to neckbeard.
Fair enough. Internet dweller. Does that sound better?
I would actually just go with extremely online.
Here we go. So anyway, Phalbadon got off his ass.
And destroyed the only thing that was preventing him from opening up a giant warp asshole in the middle of the galaxy.
So, a little backstory once again. And we do mean very little, because we could tell the entire story and we'd be here till next...
I mean, I'm good for a super long... No, let's not do that. I
So,
have a life, I have work.
Fair enough. To be fair, alright, so Phalbadon is Abaddon the Despoiler, the quote-unquote protege of the man who kicked off all the unpleasantness in the current 40K sphere of influence by,
He's also
deciding
basically the 40K equivalent of that guy Steve mentioned earlier in fantasy, the Lord
Archaon the Ever-Chosen. Archaon the Incontinent.
Yeah, that's one. Archaon the Incontinent. Phalbadon the Armless.
Phalbadon the Armless, which is...
I met a player the other day, a fellow 40K player, and he did not understand why Abaddon has no arms.
So, newer person then.
Well, no, that's the thing. I explained how Phalbadon's first model, his previous model, his original model, the metal one, was notorious for its arms constantly falling off, and his response was, I have that model, its arms has never fallen off.
What pact did he make with what dark god?
Unknown.
Find out for me, will you?
Yeah, I don't have an Abaddon model to test this, but I'm fairly sure it's a miracle.
Fairly certain. So that's why I refer to him as Phalbadon the Armless, because his model's arms would keep falling off, and
also armless is how orcs say harmless.
That too, as well. Also the fact that, for 10,000 years he was unable to get past Katie.
I mean, yeah. I'm not going to defend Phalbadon on that one. Anyway,
which is even worse because you take into account that he's, primarily exists in the warp, where time means jack shit.
Right, so that 10,000 years could have been like a week. It's fine.
Yeah, it could have been like a week, or it could have been longer. He could have been going out and doing battle plans. He has no excuse for how long he failed and not still be called armless.
Again, he does have an excuse. All of those retcons that said that all those previous times he was going for other things and not Cadia.
I don't know. I don't respect Phalbadon. I can't. And not just because I'm a Tau/Imperial player.
I mean, that definitely probably does have some... I mean, okay, look, Abaddon's also a pretty bad boss, like, when you get right down to it.
I mean, he's able to bring together the various warring factions of, chaos.
For like a week at a time.
Yeah, true. Then you have the Red Corsairs break off and go do their plundering somewhere else. The Dark Mechanicum decides, oh, we've got plenty of flesh puppets to make new demon service.
Really, what happens with the Dark Mechanicus is they get distracted by, like, anything. Literally anything.
So, how is that any different from the regular Mechanicus?
It's not.
Good to know. And then, you have the Death Guard who's just goes out and spread play. Anyway,
they actually did succeed. So, Cadia's gone. There's nothing stopping Phalbadon from just... dragging his entire huge chaos army all the way across the galaxy. But instead of that, he's decided that he's just going to take the warp with him the whole way.
Because of course.
Well, it makes sense. It's a good plan. I like the plan. I actually legitimately think that's a cool plan.
Well, yes, if he brings the access to the warp with him, he doesn't have to worry about his demonic troops being banished as much.
Well, that and... You know, it's actually really hard to fight a war inside the Eye of Terror. If you don't have a personal conduit to the gods.
Man, I don't know. God, why am I drawing a blank on Papa Space Corgi? Lemon Russ, that's
it. The Wolf of Fenris?
Lemon Russ. Lemon Russ, seems to be doing pretty well according to brother Alphabusa.
Yeah, but that's not canon. Yet.
Not yet. He's called some shit so far.
I swear to God, if Fyodor Karamazov becomes the Emperor because he's angry and throne-bound, my head is going to explode.
We should probably explain for our viewers who are unfamiliar what Cadia is. So Cadia was a planet, see, fairly Earth-like.
While we're at it, I'm going to link the Emperor's text-to-speech device. Continue.
Indeed. Bat says, I love this. This is like playing 40K with you guys without the playing 40K part. Yeah. Whenever
you mean without the part where I completely destroy both of you at 40K? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm the Emperor.
I got a little,
4 million.
Yeah, I'm just going to admit it. I've only beaten Brandon once, and I think that was because of fluke, and maybe because I brought a particular weapon that was able to one-shot his Demon Lord. Because not the Demon Lord, but Chaos Lord. Because at the time,
you punched out my Chaos Lord. That was a good game.
I punched out your Chaos Lord with an Onager Gauntlet on a towel.
I mean, it can happen.
Yeah. Anyway, so Cadia was a planet fairly Earth-like in its gravity and just a little slightly colder in its temperament. It's basically just continents and oceans, and it was populated by some of the hardest motherfuckers in the galaxy.
Well, right.
Cadian shock troops, which, granted, I'm a Tanith guy, but I still love Cadia because Cadia stands.
Krieg.
Yeah, Krieg, but you gotta admit, Cadia are some hard motherfuckers.
Yeah, I guess.
So Cadia is the planet, and the planet sits within spitting distance of the Eye of Terror, this rip in the very fabric of reality where demons and unpleasant shit and every one of the 13 Black Crusades before have had to pass through. And you have to get past Cadia, because Cadia is the gate to the rest of the Imperium.
Right,
and so
due
this
to some
planet,
Necron fuckery that we're not going to talk about today.
I mean, we'll talk about Necron fuckery, but not that Necron fuckery.
We're going to talk about some completely different Necron fuckery.
Correct. So this planet is populated by normal humans. These aren't space marines. These aren't mechanicus. This isn't anything else. These are normal flesh and blood humans like you and me.
Well, I mean, no, we don't have the standard issue giant brass testicles.
Brass? Bitch, they're adamantine.
Ugh.
So anyway, every man, woman, and child on this planet goes through training. Their entire purpose in life is to fight the forces of chaos. They occasionally take breaks from chaos and being the hardest motherfuckers in the galaxy to make more of the hardest motherfuckers in the galaxy. They occasionally pop those kids out, send them to training, and then go back out to fighting the forces of evil in the universe.
Pretty much, in that order.
They have no, planetary defense force, which is, pretty much they just have their military, and their chief export is more guardsmen. More Imperial guardsmen, more human soldiers to fight wars. And they send them out and they go off and accomplish great things. And then they just leave their kids behind to protect the planet. But these kids are some hardcore kids.
Wait, are they the Saiyans?
They might be. Cadia might be, the Saiyan homeworld. They some badasses. So for, as mentioned, for a long time, at least 10,000 years, probably more, the imperial world of Cadia has stood as a bulwark against the forces of chaos and invading the greater Imperium at whole. And they've stood, and they've fought, and they've died, but no force of chaos has ever taken and held Cadia.
And they still haven't taken and held it, because instead of that, they just blew it up.
The planet broke before the guard. So Phalbadon, it being the coward that he is, or tactical genius, he doesn't get tactical genius.
Okay, look. You can't make an omelet without crashing a Blackstone Fortress into a planet.
So he essentially crashed, Death Star-sized battleship station thing into the planet and cracked it into tiny itty-bitty pieces in hopes of destroying it, which he did. But as the last remnants of chaos shattered apart, the magma from its core spewing to the surface and evaporating the various armies that fought along its planet, the guard stood, the guard fought, the guard held the fucking line.
Sure. But they all died, though, so...
Not all of them, just, the ones who were on planets. Some of them are still out in the galaxy, and they're pissed now.
Well, yeah. Too bad the warp is just heading steadily toward Terra.
I mean, however, I do have to point out that, the whole Cadia breaking apart and having the remnants, wander the galaxy fighting wars was stolen from Dan Abnett's, Gaunt's Ghost series, but that's neither here nor there.
Wait. Can you steal from something that is canon already?
Yeah, all I'm saying is that Tanith did it first.
Right, but okay, hang on. That's like saying that George Lucas stole the idea for that's like saying George Lucas stole the idea for Revenge of the Sith from Emperor Strikes Back. That's not what happened. It's like poetry, you see. It rhymes.
That's fair.
Saying that sentence, by the way, I think I've had an aneurysm.
So, yeah, as we mentioned again, though, a single planet dying in the universe of 40K is not,
it's not the hugest deal in the universe.
I mean, there are countless other worlds feeding unknown trillions of
dirty, filthy laborers.
And Imperial Guardsmen, and, occasionally, every so often, one of those, planets gets picked to be a recruitment world for a chapter of Space Marine. Unless, G-Dubs goes the way we think we're going with this, and they just decide to take, call special little snowflake Marines and put them out into the world following our liege lord, Robot Gulliman.
I believe that you mean spiritual liege.
I don't want to say that. It makes me think of Matt Ward.
Yes, and thinking of Matt Ward is one of the few things that keeps me angry enough to keep playing 40K.
We're not going to get on Matt Ward. That's a topic for a different day. Well, maybe later. Who knows?
We shall know him as the 5th Chaos God and move on.
6th Chaos God. I still believe in Malal.
7th Chaos God, Nakoho.
Hey! We're getting off topic. So another thing that happened recently, along with, aside from the Tau discovering that Chaos is a real thing and they should get their shit together and, Phalbadon cracking Cadia, one of the long, quote-unquote, dead, missing Primarchs is back into the picture and not a demon.
So really, actually, 3 of the Primarchs are back?
Robot
Gurliman, Magnus the Sweet. Angron doesn't have rules, but he has recently been cited getting shit done.
Angron, yeah.
Oh, Mortarion has rules.
Mortarion does have rules. Mortarion, finally stopped being an emo and went out and started killing things again.
Is that what he was doing?
I think so. I believe everything I ever saw about Mortarion before, recent editions was just described as he was lamenting the fact that he sided with Horus and his children siding with Chaos and now his sons are being, maintained by the very forces of psyker bullshittery that he once, was so against.
Oh yeah, because Gilbert Godfrey.
Mm-hmm. Because typhus. Which is hilarious if you think about it. Like, Mortarion hated psychers and the psychers and anything to do with them, and now the majority of his people are, mutated. Granted, most of them can take a tank shell to the face unarmored and come out just fine, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, depending on who's doing the writing, a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, that's why I stick with Abnett. He at least makes it fairly somewhat sort of believable and people die. Granted, he doesn't have a kill count as high as George R.R. Martin, but he has killed off a lot of very well-loved characters in the course of writing.
Nah, man, C.S. Gatto. Yeah. Backflipping Terminators.
Backflipping Terminators. Or, you could go back to the very olden days where an Imperial Fist 3-man squad took over an Imperator Titan and walked about the world destroying.
That's not possible, right?
It's not possible, but it's something that occurred in the canon.
I choose to make my own canon, and then fire C.S. Gatto out of it.
I think it was Gatto who was responsible for that bullshit.
Yeah, I choose to make my own canon and then fire C.S. Gatto out of it.
So anyway, we were talking about Gulliman coming back, and
Rowboat Gurliman.
Rowboat Gurliman. So the aforementioned, I keep saying aforementioned. So the Imperium and Man are the good guys, and of course you have the Emperor on his golden throne as a skeletal lord.
Our skeletal lord and savior, who,
is either going to die and the universe is going to fall to darkness, or, die and come back and just kick the shit out of everyone.
Or what we all thought was going to happen before stuff started changing, just not die ever and just stay forever on a throne because the timeline never moves forward.
Yeah. Fair
really,
enough.
That would have been better for him than what actually has ended up happening.
This is true. I mean, if you think about it, the timeline, if you want to think about it this way, here's a thought that just occurred in my drunken head. So the stagnation of the timeline was strictly because of the just pure force of the Emperor holding the advancement of time and space at bay. And since the Golden Throne is now failing, he is no longer capable of, holding on to his powers. So as the Golden Throne is failing and everything is crashing in, it's because the Emperor's hold on the time stream has faltered.
Okay. That's probably the second best fan theory I've heard.
What's the first?
Okay, think about this for a second, alright?
Mm-hmm.
All orcs have a psychic field, as long as they're together, as long as there are more orcs around.
Oh, go on! I love this one.
All orcs have a psychic field that makes the universe kind of behave the way they feel like it should. And orcs love nothing more than a good scrap. In fact, fighting is basically a combination of eating, sex, and playtime to them, as well as a religious experience. And, well, there are more orcs in the galaxy than literally anything else.
Except for maybe Tyranids.
And in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war.
So you're saying that as orcs, as the protagonists, are forcing the plot along?
No, the orcs as the protagonists are the reason everything's so shitty, because they like war and there's a shitload of them, so their Gestalt field is making everything terrible.
So, essentially just applying the Commissar Yarrick fan theory that the only reason he's still alive is because he's such a good, adversary for...
Let us not forget, orcs started passing around a rumor that Yarick could kill them by looking at them, so he had a laser installed in his eyeball so that he could actually do that.
Now, was that purely his choice, or was it the just thought field of the orcs?
Oh no, he did that himself.
Are you sure?
No.
So anyway, going back to our topic, Robot Gullyman, the Papa Smurf awakens from his nap time.
Okay, I think Papa Smurf is actually the chapter master or whatever.
Grandpapa Smurf.
Sure.
Because I hate trying to say Robot Gulliman.
You could just call him Robert, because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Somebody can't spell Robert.
Alright, so Robert wakes up from his nap time, because he was, wounded. Not during the Horus Heresy. He was alive for a while after that, and it was all the dickery that occurred afterwards. I believe it was the Alpha Legion who fucked him.
No. It was Kurz, wasn't it? He killed Alfarius, but who knows?
What if he is Alfarius and just stole Gulliman's armor and
that is a thing that could have happened, yes.
Anyway, so he wakes up from his nap time after, several thousand years and everybody assuming he was dead. He wakes up and the first thing he sees upon looking at this massive, pseudo-religious government built up around worshiping his pseudo-dead father is just infinite shame.
His pseudo-dad.
Pseudo-dad is my next metal band name.
It doesn't seem all that metal. It seems more like a funk folk fusion thing.
Funk folk fusion. Oh god. So I just So anyway. So Robert was around back when the Emperor was fighting his crusades and remembers that the Emperor didn't want to be worshipped as a god and all these other things going about, and wakes up and sees that his father is literally being worshipped as a god.
I mean, in the defense of the people of the Imperium, he pretty much is a god.
I mean, yeah, but he didn't want to be worshipped as such.
Then why did he go around everywhere dressed in solid gold while being 50 feet tall and destroying his enemies with psychic might?
Because he has a great sense of personal style?
Look, all I'm saying is if he didn't want to be worshipped, he probably shouldn't have done those things. He is surrounded by a halo of light at all times.
Wielding a flaming sword and, just various other religious iconography that's not religious iconography.
Yeah, that.
Speaking of religious iconography, there is a great short story out there. I think it was written by Da Vinci Bourbon, The Last Church. It's just a great exploration. I know you're familiar with it, Brandon, but those who aren't, it's a great exploration into just the Emperor's state of mind and kind of before everything went to.
Yeah.
Also covered on the Emperor Has a Podcast.
That short story was actually written in the age of multi-lasers.
Multi-lasers.
Ugh. I'm having Vietnam flashbacks to C.S. Gatto's work here.
So Gulliman wakes up and then do you help me remember the Mechanicus Magus biologist's name?
Belisarius Call.
That's him. So apparently, unbeknownst to everyone?
Yeah, everyone.
The High Lords of Terror, the fucking Inquisition, everybody who keeps record. Well, it's hard to keep. It's not difficult to keep things hidden from the Imperium because the bureaucracy is just so.
Well, yeah, they can't. Okay, the bureaucracy couldn't, or the Munitorum couldn't possibly have been keeping an eye on Call because they were too busy controlling the export of the Astartes Great Whiskey.
The Astartes Great Whiskey and everything else in the universe. Yes, folks, an organization where a simple change of a 1 to a 2 could mean the death of an entire planetary.
Yeah, because they didn't pay their taxes. Or because they did pay their taxes, but, you know.
Didn't pay enough of them.
Right.
So, apparently, Call was off somewhere just with a bunch of Marines or Gru Marines, I forget how it actually went, just shows up to Robert with, here, I have this vast legion of ultra special space marines who are bigger and stronger and faster than the other space marines. You should use them to go on another crusade.
Right,
Because,
and Robo wasn't like, how in the shit did you literally improve on the scientific works of an actual god? Instead of that, he was like, yeah, cool, let's do that.
I mean, I think that was mentioned at some point, but he just realized everything's gone to shit. We need these people. Somewhere around the time he was meeting with talks with the veritable goddess of the combined Eldar faction.
Oh yeah, the elvish goddess of death is a thing now. Yeah, or god of death.
And apparently,
god of death with a female host, I guess.
That's not uncommon for Eldar, but the fact that they and Gulliman are good friends is dab.
How good of friends depends on which fan fiction we're reading.
There you go. So, anybody familiar so far with what we're talking is we're not particularly fond of G-Dub's cash grab scheme. And this was literally just a cash grab scheme, one could say.
I mean, okay, look. Again, everything G-Dubs does is a cash grab scheme. But sometimes they accidentally do really good things while they're trying to steal my money.
Are you saying Primaris Marines are a good thing?
No. Not exactly.
But where they advance the plot and start introducing other new interesting things and give you new Thousand Suns to play.
Yeah. Okay, look, I can field Magnus now.
I don't.
I can field Magnus, and Magnus can use the Spirit Bomb.
Ugh.
To over-explain the joke, Thousand Suns have a special thing where they can give a Psyker some additional bonus on a psychic check if there are other Psykers nearby. So we all just imagine it as Magnus throwing his arms up in the air and telling everyone to give him their energy.
And because the Thousand Suns are either, animated suits of armor or Psyker.
Right, right.
What other interesting things have occurred in this time frame recently as we're kind of hitting on 8th Ed? I think we've covered most of the new additions or new introduction.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the stuff that's happened. I think that, it looks like the Eldar Imperium Alliance is going to become a real thing, which is just another thing that's basically making this Age of Sigmar in space.
Uh-huh.
Which, again, okay, it's Warhammer Fantasy in space. That is what that's what the game always was. It's not terrible that they're just porting in Age of Sigmar stuff. In fact, a lot of the Age of Sigmar stuff is working better in this game than it would have in Age of Sigmar, but
Yeah, you and your Zangor.
Oh my god, Zangers. They're so cool. We Beastmen now. Me smash.
Me Beastman now. We shoot magic arrows.
It's true. They do that.
So, which kind of brings us to our next topic of discussion, what we kind of sort of, well, we hit on before. It was what were we talking about now? What we don't like about.
Oh, we keep touching on things about G-Dubs that we just that make us angry on the inside.
and occasionally on the outside as well. Just that pure anger you feel where, as you're feeling it, everyone in the room just realizes that you're angry. That kind of... Where shall we start, Brandon?
Where should we start? Let's see. Pricing? Pricing. Because, as he mentioned earlier, an arm and a leg doesn't actually cut it when you're trying to build an army in Warhammer 40k. Like, you know, I have built an army in 40k that was tournament capable, and it cost me about $400. Which is, you know, it's less than some people spend on decks in Magic. But it's still an absolutely absurd amount of money, especially considering that you can't have just a tournament army. You have to have, you know, stuff you can swap in, optional things.
Things for if you play a larger point cast, smaller point cost.
Right, and G-Dubs, they price their models at about the same rate that we price precious metals.
I mean, I'm just pulling up random prices here. From Amazon, you can get their Dark Vengeance playset for $269.
See, and the fucked up thing is he just said the words, Dark Vengeance playset for $269, and I was like, ooh, that's a deal.
Yeah, most of the time for a field of... I mean, I'm also looking here. Granted, this is from Etsy, but the full pro-painted Tau army for $1,500.
Yeah. And that's basically the thing that prevents so many people from playing this game, because, like, if they were to have, let's say, the cost of their models, they could probably have like 5 times the players.
Yeah, I'm looking up another article here where it says a 2,000 point army at a standard size with some additional hobby supplies could run you $815.
Yeah, that sounds pretty right. And, you know, we understand, okay? Buying factory time and making molds is expensive, but you could make that up in volume if you were willing to not try to kill your fan base through poverty.
I mean, and, you know, as time goes on, 3D printing is becoming better and better and quicker. You could almost, you know, make an entire army.
You know what, that's another thing. I have seen Warhammer 40k models for $25. I can order a completely custom model for $25. I have done it before. I made one for you. Do you remember?
I do remember, and when I was going through my problems and my room got reorganized, it went...
Yes, I actually did mean to replace that for you. I had forgotten.
But, you know, so 25 points for a single model, but that's, you know, high-grade, custom-built model. And
right,
this is $25.
That is custom. I ordered that with specific specification. I designed its face. But they sometimes charge the same amount as that for one that they mass produce. It's questionable, that's all.
I mean, you could almost say that it's a bit of a holdover from their original pricing schemes back when they made everything in, you know, in metal and pewter and all those, you know, expensive fidgety
right, but now the stuff that used to be metal is fine cast, and that's way cheaper.
Not to mention the fact that, you know, and it's weird, it's such a cash grab. They'll sell the license for video games and such to pretty much anybody, but they won't make any official licensed product that everybody wants, which is
just a way to play online, really.
yeah. There's no official way to play 40K online.
Well, but
in any
when you think about it, right? Magic the Gathering made Magic Arena like a month ago. Now, okay, yes, MTG Online had been a thing well before that, but it would not be difficult for G-Dubs to just do the same thing. Just make a virtual tabletop, fucking sell us booster packs, it's fine. But no, they won't do it because their whole business model is moving plastic gold. They could make so much money by selling us booster packs in some kind of online game, but they're not going to do it.
And also the fact that it's not even just the plastic models. You have to take into account the fucking rule book are almost required to play the game. You could find them through some back sources, but you're on the risk of, getting viruses on your computer, getting some terrible Russian translation, or not getting any information at all.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yes, there's ways around that, and they're not as bad about that part as they used to be, because at least the core rules are free.
Core rules are free, yeah. You can get about that. But, if you were to go out and buy the BRB, the big rule book, I believe I got the 8th ed rule book, and it cost me like $65, maybe.
I bought the BRB because I liked all the pretty art inside it.
Granted that, that would be the reason why. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that their product is terrible. Some of the models might be a bit iffy, but the rule books and all the time and energy and everything they put into making the rule books and the full 2-page dioramas they put in with these professionally painted models and these stage battles and the lore and the writers and everything, it's very well done. But it's ungodly expensive.
Well, no, okay. I'm actually looking at my BRB right now. And this is actually a fairly nice book, right? And it's got full color illustrations across multiple pages, and it's got dozens of them. So, $65 is a little bit high, but I would expect to pay $50 for this book, so...
Oh, yeah,
like,
absolutely.
just looking at it as an art book, right?
Yeah, as an art book. But I think I also paid for just a soft cover of the Kill Team rule book. I think I paid like $30 or something for it.
We need to play that.
We do, because I think we could get more games out of a couple Kill Team in the course of a day than, a big 4-hour battle.
I need you to scan each individual page of that Kill Team rulebook and send it to me while I read this cease and desist from G. Oh, fuck.
I mean, I would, but it's the size of a regular codex. It's a lot of pages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. Just walk me through it next time we have a chance.
Fair.
But yeah, they could make an online tabletop. It would not be hard.
And to be fair, they've essentially done that with their licensing for Battlefleet Gothic. They turned one of their what's the term they use for the games?
A specialty game.
They turned one of their specialty games, and a couple of specialty games, because they did the same thing with there's a few video game variants of Space Hulk and a couple other games that they've made out there and aren't terrible. But Battlefleet Gothic is a beautiful game, and the models are all very well done.
The models are gorgeous.
Absolutely.
And they cost your firstborn for each of them because they're Forge World. But,
Well, yeah, but for the specialty game. But I'm talking about Battlefleet Gothic, the video game.
Right. Battlefleet Gothic Armada is actually incredible. I have it on my computer right now. Maybe I should just... No. I'm not going to... I was thinking about maybe just streaming it for a second, but...
Yeah, that might cause some issues. But in terms of that, again, the Battlefleet Gothic Armada video games, you can tell that whoever made that game, which isn't to say that anybody who makes a 40K video game doesn't care about the property. A lot of the people they put into work on them do, like the Space Hulk first-person shooter they made kind of in terms of very similar to Vermintide and other things like that.
Oh, Vermintide's incredible.
Vermintide's amazing, and it's also a very beautiful game.
Wait,
and
do you have Vermintide too?
I do not have Vermintide 2, but I need to get it.
It's on sale right now, $11.
I will look into
Steam,
that.
go get it. Because me and Sterling have been playing the shit out of that game.
Again, like, it's, a beautiful game, and so is that. Granted, the Space Hulk Terminator game is it got some iffy reviews, but it's also very beautiful, and you could tell that the people making the game cared about it, just like with Battlefleet Gothic Armada.
Right,
they
Battlefield Gothic Armada 2 is coming out later this month, and I have it. I pre-ordered that game. Do you know how I feel about pre-orders?
Like everybody feels about pre-order.
Yeah, exactly. I pre-ordered Armada 2. I've played the beta. It was super good.
And all it is it's just a very well done 3D modeled version of Battlefleet Gothic on the tabletop.
No, it's real time instead of turn based.
Well, yeah, but that you can do things here or there. I mean, sure, but it's still
right. But if I wanted to play real time, 40K, I would play Dawn of War, and I don't want to do that because I don't like Dawn of War, and because Dawn of War 2 still won't run on my computer.
Would you play the original Dawn of War?
Yeah,
I love the original Dawn of War.
As an RTS, it was inferior to StarCraft, and as a 40K game, it was inferior to just playing 40K.
This is true, but for at the time when I didn't have anybody to play 40K with, this was before I met you guys. But Dawn of War was not a bad attempt. I wish they could have done better when they made 2 and 3, or 2 in the game that shall not be mentioned, as just retconning all.
The game that shall not be mentioned, huh? Oh yeah, because that was a MOBA.
Essentially, yes, a real-time strategy MOBA. Ugh. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd almost play a 40K 40K style MOBA game if there was like Dota or League or something like that. I'd almost play that just because I think it'd be interesting to do, but not real-time strategy based.
People would get mad at me because I would only play Magnus.
I think I'd only play Commander Farsight, so all the missile pods.
All of them?
All of them. I've got so many missile pods. Missile pods for days.
Yeah. I sure wish they would do that.
And it's not even as though that there's, not somebody out there who would be willing to work on it. I'm sure that there are people out there who would be more than happy to work on a 3D rendered version of 40K so you could have actual sight lines and you could move pieces around this. And it doesn't even have to be, it doesn't even have to have animations. You could just be moving the figurines around in a 3D environment. I'd be fine with that.
Right, that would work just fine. Unfortunately, that's just not the world we live in. Well, okay, look. Warhammer 40K fans can do a lot of good and interesting things. But, G-Dubs doesn't actually accept anyone onto their writing team who cares about 40K for good reason.
Got to make that money.
Well, no, because the last time they did that, they got Matt Ward.
I'd say that some of the other writers they've had on their staff for stuff have not been bad. Like the
well, but you'll notice how every great writer they have, right, is a fantasy writer who probably knew nothing about 40K before they started writing for it. Abnett is a good example, actually.
Yeah, I believe he wrote the, Malik's Darkblade before he wrote Gaunt's Ghost or anything?
Right.
Which is, I haven't read those, but I've heard good things about that series, but, I'm a fan of Abnett for his other stuff.
Because neckbearded 40k fans would do things like have Fyodor be possessed by the Emperor.
Fair enough.
Which, okay, granted, that would be way better than whatever they have planned. Like, literally, no matter what they have planned, that's better.
So what's going to happen, I'm going to call it now, what's going to happen, the universe is going to come crashing down, you're going to have the Imperial Palace on Terra, you're going to have Robot Gulliman, you're going to have Yanid, you're going to have Commander Farsight, you're going to have the Assembled Force, you're going to have Nazgul
Gazkul Maguruk Thraka.
Gazgul, Magurk, Thraka, you're going to have all of them just on Earth fighting back this unsymbol tide of Tyranids and chaos-corrupted Tyranids.
Wait. You think that Gazgul's going to fight with the Imperium?
If it means that he gets to fight an unending horde of demonic Tyranids?
That's a good point. I'm sorry, wait, you think Demonids is going to be a thing? We're getting... Demonids will be canon.
I'm going to call Demonids will be canon.
Okay, alright. That's never going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen.
Just follow me on this. So they're going to go on, and eventually the universe is going to come crashing down on Terra, and it's just going to be Robot Gulliman and Yanid, and they're going to look in each other's eyes, and then the Emperor is going to wake up, and everything's going to flash to light, and next thing you know, it's just going to be a merger game between 40k and Age of Sigmar. It's just going to be Age of the Emperor, and that's what you're going to have.
That sounds like the worst possible ending to this.
Which means it's more than likely going to occur.
I mean, you don't have to do that kind of thing to my soul.
You know me, I like just kind of raining on people's parades.
My whole parade. Wow.
So what do you think?
Okay, hang on, wait. Before I explain my thought, when I did that just now, my whole parade, I acted it so hard that I actually teared up. Anyway, what I think is going to happen before anything else, before we get any resets, is I think we're going to get all the Primarchs back.
Even the dead one.
Especially the dead ones.
So we've got Magnus, we've got Mortarion.
Magnus, Mortarion, Angron. All of the demon ones are going to be back because, well, they can't die to begin with, so...
And then you're just going to have Robot Gurliman. Lehman Russ is going to come storming out. Lehman Russ is going to come storming out of the Eye of Terror with... what's his fucking name? White Scars.
No. Jagatai Khan is somewhere in Kamara.
Oh, that's right. He did go to Kamarug. Trolls in the Infinite's going to show up and just throw a Pokeball and release Vulcan upon his...
Surely that's not actually Vulcan he's got in there, right?
I mean, he did just kind of choose an entire chapter of Heresy-era Ultramarines to fight on.
Yeah, I mean, he is a Pokemon trainer by trade.
So that will happen.
That might happen.
You've got the couple ones who are just dead.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. Name the ones that are dead for me. Go ahead.
Conrad Kurz.
Uh-huh. I'll address them as you name them. So, Conrad Kurz. Yeah, he's dead, but... The most recent mention of the Night Lords... mentions a crown that he used to own that appears to be possessed by his essence.
Yeah, that crown I think I've actually got a series. One second. I think that might be being addressed in the Soul Haunter series by Aaron Dubinsky Bowden, who is an amazing writer.
Yep. So,
Because you get-
Nighthawker's
Because
coming
you got
back.
yeah, absolutely. You get 40k Grimdark Batman back.
Really is more like the Punisher. Go on, name another dead Primarch.
God, I can't remember his name. Iron Hands Primarch is dead.
Is he?
I'm pretty sure he is dead, yes.
Is Rogaldorn dead? All they found was a hand on a ship.
No, that's Imperial Fist, not Iron Hands.
Oh, you're right. Gosh, I don't remember his name.
It's not Perturabo.
No, it's not because Perturabo's a demon. But no, I know who you're talking about, but he's dead, sure, but he's also got silver hands, okay? He could come back at any time.
Fair. Which other ones are dead? Vulcan's missing, and I guess
He's probably in a Pokeball.
probably. No one knows where Alfarius or Amegon or both of them are. Let's assume that they're dead.
Well, two different people claim to have killed Alfarius, so by that logic, they might have killed both of them.
Except I am Alfarius.
Right, except I am Alfarius.
No, I am Alfarius.
We are all Alfarius.
Let's see, who else is dead? That's the loyalist ones are the ones who are actually only ones who are actually dead.
That's not
so
true.
we've got. So let's just go through them. Lehman Russ is accounted for. Vulcan we've accounted for. God, why can't I remember his name? I'm gonna look it up, but Rogaldorn is unaccounted for potentially. I'm just going to pull up this page real quick with all the people. Lion L. Johnson. He's just on fucking Caliban.
Yeah, he's just chilling. He's not even in danger.
Fulgrim.
Is Fulgrim dead?
I've got it pulled up on Lexiconum right now, so I'm just kind of going through from one to nothing. So Lionel Johnson's just chilling on the two's unaccounted for because hey, missing Primarchs.
Right.
Fulgrim is a demon prince. Perturabo, demon prince. Jagati Karn, Komorog, Lemon Russ, the Warp.
Right.
Rogaldorn, assumed dead. Conrad Kerr's crown. Sanguinius is just the fucking the Blood Angel's fucking shiny golden guy.
The Sanguinor?
That's it.
So yeah, he's already back.
Ferrus Manus. That's Iron Hand. He's dead. He was apparently killed at the drop site massacre.
Nah, he'll be back.
9 is gone because deleted from Imperial records, but Angron, he's off kicking ass. Robo, Mortarion, being Emos, Magnus being Magnus. Horus might be the only one that's going to have trouble coming back because he was just completely banished from everything.
Yeah, but Abaddon makes a fine stand-in.
You're just going to say that Abaddon, Horus somehow possesses Abaddon,
No, I'm going to say Abaddon counts as Horus.
even though he's not a Primarch.
I mean, shit, he might as well be.
Lorgar,
Is a demon.
it's all his fault. Vulcan is in a Pokeball. Corvus Corax. Confirmed
He's missing,
alive.
I think.
It mentioned he was last monitored setting a course for the Eye of Terror.
So he's hanging out with Lemon Russ.
Yep. Oh yeah, here we go. He has since become mutated by the warp into a creature of darkness and shadow, engaged in a quest of vengeance against the demon Primarchs. And then you got Alfarius Omegon. Alive and kicking, probably the Emperor.
Probably the Emperor.
I mean, with those two, it's hard to tell.
I mean, yeah, true.
So, the really only ones that we have confirmed dead, we don't have a theory. You know, Alfarius and Omega claim dead, but...
actually, I do have a theory on Horus.
Go ahead.
The Emperor did not win that duel. The man on the throne is Horus.
Oh. Which would make Emperor that would make if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device so much more amusing. Like the only one, like Horus is.
But yeah, so that's my 40K theory for where it goes when they further advance the plot 40 years from now.
Yup. I mean, we've got all these things. I think the only two who are just like dead and we just have wild mass guessing are the only ones, or Ferris Manus and Con. Because, like you said, they only found his fucking hand. Oh no! Apparently
that's
they
Rogel
found. That's what I'm saying, Rogel Dorn. Apparently, no. They found his entire dead body and it's encased in amber, and they just have his hand out to engrave Chapter Master's names on.
Like the Life Eater virus could kill a Primarch. Come on.
I mean, Vulcan's a fucking perpetual.
That's true.
Who's to say that the others aren't perpetuals and are just biding their time?
Well, Horus is dead, though. Like, dead. Unless that's the Emperor.
I mean, the only people we know who saw anything that occurred were fucking were a Custodes who got blown away, a Terminator who got blown away, and patron saint of the Imperial Guard.
Alanius Pius is such a baller.
Yeah. So I think some of the lore says that Alanius Pius is somehow a perpetual, or some of the theories is he's a perpetual. He's actually the Emperor, and he's just living his life out until such a time he needs to come back and save us all.
Aw, that's actually kind of sweet.
My children must learn from their previous mistakes. I shall arrive precisely when I'm needed at the turn of the tide.
Wait, is the Emperor Gandalf the White?
And no. Oh boy. So, why is it that we love this fucking setting so much?
It's because it is full of infinite possibility.
And, you know, Grim Darkness and the Grim, there's only Grim.
Oh, and also, I mean, it's completely full of unrepentant badasses.
They give zero fucks.
No, they give many fucks about many things. Many different things.
Yeah, but I mean, in that case, if you're looking at that, sure, you expect a Space Marine to be a badass. You expect a Primarch to be a badass. I think when it comes down to it, some of my favorite parts of 40k just come from the guardsmen. That poor schmuck just sitting in the trench firing sort of equivalent of a pea shooter against the unending hordes of monsters.
Well, yeah. Look, the only reason I kind of don't appreciate that as much as you do is that I keep a firm grasp on the fact that they are not given any choice in the matter. They are literally given up as a tax.
Yeah, but if that's the case, they would just resign themselves to the old, adage that they're just there to last longer than 5 minutes on the battlefield until the Space Marine.
That they are. That's the point of them.
Yeah, but some of them just refuse that destiny and go about trying to fight and kill everything in their path.
Yes, because there is no retiring from the Imperial Guard. You do it until you die. Different people respond to that differently.
Not necessarily true. There are plenty of retired Imperial Guardsmen. Some planets that are taken by the Imperium. The capturing Guard regiment musters out. The commander becomes a planetary governor, and the Guardsmen and their families become the colonists for that world. That's actually Well, I mean, they get to a point where they can no longer fight. They've won this world for the Imperium. You need to set up another world to start making more meat for the grinder.
So right. I'm just saying that from an Imperial point of view, okay, any guardsman that makes it to old age is a guardsman who was wasted.
Yeah, unless you take into account that they're, helping raise or, produce the next round of guardsmen who will also go on to accomplish great things. Just imagine if you have a Cadian regiment who's not being sent back. They go out, they claim a planet, they take it over, it becomes New Cadia, they go on to start raising a new round of Cadians on New Cadia.
How many times are you going to say Cadia today?
About as many times as a Space Wolf player says wolf in the course of a regular game.
So we're going to be here for a while then.
Yep. Well, I think one reason we can both agree that this is a wonderful setting, it's just so rich with memes.
Oh, it is fucking meme-tacular. Half of said memes can be found in the Emperor's text-to-speech device.
The other half of said memes can be attributed to the one and only Necron baller Trolls
Trolls in the internet?
Trolls in the ever popular.
Yeah, the guy who keeps Ultramarines and Pokeballs.
And a Primarch and a Pokeball. And tried to save Cadia.
Tried and failed. But he did try.
He did try. But then, even though he lost the Ultramarines he, wasted, he did acquire a new piece for his...
Yeah.
He stasis bombed the fuck out of Creed.
That is a thing that occurred. AKA Creed.
It would take some sort of tactical genius to see where we're going from here.
And I am not that tactical genius. I have no idea where to go from here.
I mean, we hit on it briefly about how Games Workshop could increase their player base, and they just need to make games. That's not just the tabletop or Battlefleet Gothic that you have to look forward to when you want to try to get into this franchise. There are other ways to get into it that don't require, selling grandma's kidneys to organ harvesters to acquire models.
I have never sold my grandmother's kidneys to a legitimate organ harvester.
Legitimate, he says. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at, it's more than just what you can find in the rule books and, on the internet. It's also a source of some really glorious lore in the forms of the Black Library.
Oh, that's true. That's true. We could talk about Black Library stuff. Now, that said, okay, I have not actually read most of this. I don't think anyone has actually read most of this.
I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at the lion's share of the Gaunt's Ghost series. And by lion's share, I mean all of them. Everything that mentions the Gaunt's Ghost, I have every book. All 16.
Not sure if I should be. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with my mouth.
Granted, I've been acquiring them for the better part of the last, 11 years.
Yeah, but there's like 12 books in the Horus Heresy series. I haven't read one of them.
I mean, I'm only to the point where I haven't read the latest of the Gaunt's Ghost series, but pretty much everything in my 40K collection I've read multiple times. Like we said, it depends on the writer, and some writers are better than others. By and large, I prefer everything by Dan Abnett, but there are other ones out there, other writers who are really good for the Black Library and for lore, like Aaron Davinsky Bowden. There's another guy. Gav Thorpe.
Matt Ward.
Henry Zoe, Steve Parker, Nick Kime.
Nick who?
Nick Kime.
I have never even heard of him. What did he write?
He wrote the Tome of Fire trilogy.
What is that about?
It's the Salamanders.
Oh, I should have known by the word fire.
Yes, you should. And, just from that, so a lot of these authors have just contributed things that weren't really mentioned, except as minor footnotes in the regular lore you find in the novel. In the case of Dan Abnett, his Gaunt's Ghost series led rise to the Sabbat worlds and the entire crusade to take them back, and other authors have contributed works to that and made references to that in the novels, where you might see one or two mentions of them in any codex concerning the Imperial Guard or whatever. This isn't fully developed, for the most part, the entire history of these crusades to retake this cluster. He is responsible for possibly some of the best novels in the 40K canon in the Eisenhorn trilogy and the Ravenor series, where I've read all of Eisenhorn, but I haven't really read Ravenor. I need to get them, but it gives you a look into the mindset of the Imperial Inquisition, and beyond just being this, up top scary. Which, granted, Eisenhorn is a terrifying person, but it gives you more to look at than just like, oh, this shadowy organization. You get the human motivation behind it. It's so you dive into it and you have these connections to these characters that beforehand were just, shadowy monsters who declare, exterminatus from orbit, or these faceless dog soldiers who are going off to fight a endless horde of enemies and die screaming. You get a human element to them, and that gives.
Soldiers?
I'm making a reference to just grunts, not actual dog soldiers. Although Dog Soldiers is a glorious movie.
I assumed you were talking about Fenrisians.
I don't have any Space Wolf.
Space Corgis?
Space Corgis. Anyway, but it just lends a human connection to these characters that is beyond just, you making these models or you associating with this character. That's funny. You've got the
like in the case of Eisenhorn, you've got this, Imperial Inquisitor and his, ace pilot, and they pick up this random police officer up at Arbite on this world and take him along to investigate this heretic who's trying to take over this sector for his shadowy cabal and bring chaos to it. And this just random prostitute he meets who turns out to be an untouchable, and how it's adorable story. It's
Wait. Untouchables exude a sense of wrongness that would make working as a prostitute really difficult for one.
They touch on.
Oh. Oh, I see what you did there. Good joke.
Well, no, it wasn't really a joke, but they cover that, how she's just this, young woman trying to make her way on this planet, and she can't hold down any other job. The only thing she can do is be a quote-unquote pleasure girl, and even then, that's, it doesn't really work out for the best for her, but, it's the only option she has, and so you get a look into her psyche and how she just gets, she's just random civilian that gets drugged along by this Inquisitor because she's an untouchable. She might serve a purpose. Yeah, and that's just how the cookie crumbles in 40K. Although it is, but he's, the Inquisitor, he's a psyker, so, she interferes with him a bit. But she's such a charming, loving person that he can't help but be friends with her. But eventually I was a bit spoiler here, but I imagine by the time anybody here gets around to listening to it or reading the stories, eventually it just becomes a point they work together for so long. Eventually he falls in love with her and her him, but they can't be together because he's a psychic Inquisitor and she's an untouchable and leader of his cadre. It's just this weird love story mixed with everything that just sort of works.
Okay, things I didn't expect to hear today, but all right.
And then you have like Abnett's Brotherhood of the Snake, which is a single novel that has a couple of short stories in it, just following the career of a young, quote unquote young space marine as he rises from an initiate to leader of a notable squad in this chapter of Space Marines, and just how he is essential to the turning point of a war, and just beyond just seeing them as killing machines, you see how they interact with their brothers and how they interact with the populace and this, that, and the other, and it just humanizes them a bit. But they're still these hardcore killing machines. It's great stuff.
Sure. Although, I think that the officially the official books don't do the setting justice, if you know what I mean.
Some of them do.
Well, no, you that's not. I'm looking for a good way to describe this.
You have the books which, by definition, have to follow a set of characters around and be centralized on that character, and they can't be focused on the larger conflict.
Got it. The cool things are not the characters. The cool things are the setting. For example, in my 3.5 edition, or third edition, in my third edition Chaos Codex, there was a tiny little short story.
Oh yes, I love this one.
There was a tiny little short story about a bunch of tribesmen on some backwater planet. They didn't really have any advanced technology. They had flintlock pistols and swords and horses. And they were in a war with the city people because the city people worshipped some sky god and the plains people worshipped the four winds. The blood wind that roused a warrior's passions, the plague wind that cooled the weak, the scented wind that roused the passions, and the and the wind of change that brings the gifts of gods to men. The chaos powers is what I'm getting at here. And
You don't.
and this war continued had continued for some time, when a prophet came to the tribespeople, some gigantic man wearing strange armor and speaking speaking prophecies from the gods. And the war continues, and the tribesmen start winning. So the city people manage to call for help, and from the sky come storm giants, or what the tribesmen call storm giants. Enormous men in strange armor with thundering guns that cut down hundreds and hundreds of tribesmen. And the prophet told them that if any of them could fell one of these storm giants, then they would have an eternal reward. So the tribesmen kept charging and kept losing and kept dying until the prophet summoned some emissaries of the gods, let's say. Demons. Straight up demons.
There's no getting around.
Yeah, no getting around it. They were demons. So the demons and the tribesmen charged into the pack of storm giants, and the one tribesman who the story had been following tries everything. Every gun, every sword. He can't defeat their armor. But he finds a storm giant whose armor has been damaged, melted by the demons, and he takes a broken piece of a spear and kills him and jams it into him until he dies. And basically everyone but him, or not everyone but him, but you know what I mean, a lot of the tribesmen died in the battle, and the prophet tells this young man, maybe he can't be very old. He tells this young man that greatness beckons him and asks him what he wants, and the young man says he wants revenge against the storm giants and their sky god for killing all of his people. And the prophet says, "Good. Come with me. We're going to go beyond the winds, and I will make you a warrior of the gods." And that's the whole story. That's the short story. But what it ends up being is a short story about a single word bearer, one Chaos Space Marine, coming to this backwater planet and causing untold carnage just to find the one guy who was worthy to join him.
I love that story, and I don't have any of those old Chaos codexes. But I would argue that
right?
you can.
It's not the story itself that's great, and it's not the character, right? This is not a named character. This isn't Trollsinn. This isn't Rowboat Gurleyman. This is some guy on some planet. The setting carries narratives that are just, well, you can imagine so many things.
All right, and I've actually got a bit of a blurb from just to not to really counteract that story, but an example. What I'm trying to cite from my sort of thing from the novel. In the Gonsko's book Armor of Contempt, there's a new character introduced. He's supposed to be training up to join the Ghost, but because he's a camp follower who just grows up and he becomes of age to be drafted into the Guard, and so he goes through his training. Well, they come to a planet that they have to invade before he can officially join his regiment, so he's stuck with these washouts, and essentially it's the RIP detail, retrain, indoctrination, and punishment detail, where people who just need retraining, very few of them, or indoctrination, very few of them, or punishment, by and large the entire group, who fire infractions that didn't result in a commissar coming up behind them and blamming them. So the scum of the earth, dirty dozen kind of stuff. And this poor kid, he's just trying to become a guardsman like his adopted family. And so they end up dropping in, and he doesn't get to join his group. He's thrown into the meat grinder, and he lands on this beach before this massive fortress. He manages to make it to the shore with the laser batteries and the auto guns and everything chattering around him, eating up the earth. Commissar shouting orders with whips, smacking any soldier too slow to get, to the wall. How he has to climb over a mountain of corpses of fellow guardsmen to reach the top of the wall, and then proceeds into a meat grinder of a bridge where he's just kind of focused along like cattle. He ends up fighting and fighting, and they make it through to a point where he's taking cover in an old shell hole, and all of a sudden he hears a siren behind him, and suddenly there's a warhound titan stomping through the battlements behind them that they fought so hard to claim and take, and it's stomping and shouting out its alarm klaxon, the voice from the staff screaming, out of our way, as they thunder along this massive beast, spewing death at countless kilometers away and reaving the earth before them. And they have to retreat when a charge of tanks come, and they're forced back through this gap in the wall after avoiding the clobbering footsteps of this warhound titan. And he's fighting, and he looks down and he notices somebody he was speaking with in a previous shell hole, and realizes that for all of their fighting, all that they've run and accomplished so far, they've managed to advance all of 500 paces and then fall back to where they started.
So it's just basically World War One. I mean...
Well, yeah. But it's just images like that that make me... It's just this kid who's fresh out of training.
Sure.
Or you have the... what's the story? Where in the Brotherhood of the Snake, there's this young space marine is sent to investigate an occurrence on a planet where a ship has crashed, and the people had had no contact with anyone from the Imperium at large for countless years. Occasional diplomat would come, but nothing massive. So suddenly these people start disappearing in the outer hamlets, and they send a single, rookie space marine to investigate, and it turns out that there's a small cabal of Dark Eldar raiders on this planet, and he just, goes about solving the problem, as only a space marine can.
Through copious amounts of violence.
Copious amounts of violence, a land speeder, a bureaucrat who she just drew the short straw and was the only one not terrified to go along with them to make sure the job was done, and a dog.
Oh, a doggo.
Yeah, he brings along a doggo to help hunt the others, the primordials, as it were, which, just Dark Eldar. And she sees him, and at the time she didn't realize, she just asked, surely you must be some great captain or hero of your order. It's like, no, ma'am, I've officially only been part of the chapter for 3 months.
Space Marines.
But they handle it well because it's things like that, little blurbs that just explore that the characters can also drive the plot in 40K.
Yeah, but again, it's the setting. The setting is the reason that shit works.
Yeah, I suppose.
That's how you get away with that bullshit.
This is true. Like, another one, and so far I've only mentioned Abnett's work. I've mentioned other authors, but he has a novel called Titanicus, which is just about the Titan Legions.
I have heard of this one.
Granted, it's not just about the Titan Legions. There's a concurrent story where the planetary defense force of this Forge world has to team up with the down crew from a light Titan and a couple of tech priests to try to go on a mission to take out some sort of chaotic planet destructor. It's hard to explain.
Really, most 40k amounts to destroy the super weapon.
But it's not even just the novels that let you dive into it. And we mentioned
we mentioned Battlefleet Gothic and Dawn of War, but you've got a couple other games in there. You've got the a real-time strategy in the form. I can't remember the name of it. It's essentially orcs versus maybe it's Armageddon. I think that's what it is. You're playing as either Steel Legion or orcs, and that's pretty much all. It's just a hex-based real-time turn-based. I'm sorry, a hex-based turn-based strategy. Or you've got one of the most fun third-person shooters I've ever played in the form of
Sure.
Which Space Marine is just a lovely little game. I wish they'd make a second.
I wish they would stop making chess games.
Yeah. I have Regicide. It's.
Wait, you actually bought Regicide?
I downloaded like a either very cheap or free version on my phone just to see what it was like.
It's chess. It's chess with a 40k skin.
Yeah, essentially. I was just bored one day and needed something to do. Well, I waited for other games to install.
Buh.
And you've got, what is it? You got the isometric exploration games like Inquisitor and Mechanicus or whatever, which is just an isometric RPG type game.
I have not played that one. Is it any good?
I played Inquisitor. It's okay. It's kind of basically boils down to it's more of a twin stick kind of sort of feel to it, where you're moving around and aiming and shooting and casting your powers and swinging your sword about, but it's not terrible.
Twin stick's sweet.
Yeah, but it's got RPG elements and stuff to it, so you're going about, but it's got more like an instance feel to it, where you go from planet to planet and are trying to solve a mystery.
Are you trying to rewrite history too?
I don't know what Ordo he is in, but probably.
The Ordo Chronos is the best Ordo.
I'm partial to Ordo Xeno, so that's just because I like playing Death.
Yeah, you say that, but Ordo Xenos actually exists. How can you be the best Ordo if you exist?
Fair enough.
Okay, we have now talked about 40k for a solid 2 hours. Let's not.
Yeah, I think we've reached our quota for the.
Yeah, we have done what we set out to do, and we have talked about Warhammer and nothing but Warhammer. So next time we're going to talk about something that isn't Warhammer, and it's going to be War Machine.
Okay.
It's not going to be War Machine. I don't have enough material.
Nor do I. Hell, we'll think of something.
Yeah, we'll think of something by then. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and hope you have a great night.
See you later.
She wants flowers, so...
As I completely fail to actually turn the music on. Here we go. Alright, playing out. Have a good night, guys.
Later.
Special thanks to everybody listening to the program. Special thanks to Super Sticky Shark for being in the chat every episode.